All right, time for another, well, what we call a tech segment. Me and, of course, the Professor Sandy Ganz and our good sponsor, Discount Tire. That's right. All right, so as long as we're talking about Discount Tire, let's stay on the topic of tires and how to read the sidewalls. Very confusing. A lot of guys, this one especially.
I've made the classic mistake of not understanding the plethora of odd numbers on the side. I've done the busy work and then done the research now, so I'm a little more comfortable with it.
Let me explain the difference between you and your cousin when it comes to not knowing stuff. He would still be arguing with me 5 years on about why he doesn't need to know something when he could have spent the last 5 years just drinking in the knowledge.
Clearly wrong. How to do my time.
And now you're an expert at yet one more thing.
That's right. Added to the many facets of my skills.
Well, I know the part where it's the 245 and then the series and then the last number is the size of the rim. So the easy part about that whole thing, if somebody says, well, it's a 255, 50, 15. The easiest part about that whole thing is at least the 15.
Yeah.
At least that last number is going to be anywhere from 13 to 21, and you'll be able to read that. That is what it is.
The part that I love also about this is the odd mix of metric and standard stuff on the tires, because they didn't go all the way.
Because it starts off with the 245, which is a millimeter,
right,
and finishes with 17 inches.
Yeah, unless you're running those piece of crap TRX, Michelin somethings, or whatever,
right,
those weirdo Euro rims, which we don't run here in the States, unless you're stuck with them.
Let's start by just breaking down the 245. There's 26 millimeters, give or take, or 25 and change in an inch. I think the 245.
That's
the thickness.
That's usually your sidewall to sidewall width, or thereabouts, depending on how your tire's measured. But generally, that's that width.
Right, and then the 45 is a percentage number.
Right. This is where it gets confusing. Because normally you think, oh, well, that's the height of the whole thing, but that's not how these tires are measured. And there's another type of tire marking scheme that will measure tires that way, but these show the 45 as a percentage of the width. So it's the 45 indicates this width, which is 245, and take 45% of that, and that's your sidewall height.
Right. Don't let the 245 and the 45 compete with each other in your small brains, by the way. That's random. Could be 220. Well, they usually go in fives, 215s, 225. Not too many 235s, 245s, 255s, not a whole lot of 265s, and there's a bunch of 285s. It's weird how they work. And also, you can go online and kind of check all this stuff out and see what the different sizes are, but that is the percentage of the sidewall. So thus, if this was a 245 60 series tire, you'd see a lot more sidewall because it would be
old school.
60% of this instead of less than 50%.
Right.
And you have a much taller tire. And the other thing where I think people get screwed up on is if you're trying to pick out the right tires for your car and you think, well, I got a 225, so that's going to be much higher than the 205s or the 215s. Well, take a look at the series, because you could have a much lower number, like a 195 60 series. That's probably going to be taller than a 225 50 series.
Yeah.
So you definitely factor that series in, not just that first number in terms of the overall height.
Right, and we'll throw some links up. DiscountTire.com has a lot of that information. I'll throw up some links to tire size calculators, which are really helpful if you're trying to figure out max speed. And it's, when you're fooling around with your tire sizes, you want to make sure that the main thing is all of the stuff is right. You don't want to run a 245 45 R17 and a 255 40 R. You want to keep things same.
Well, there's also a lot of other things to think about, like are you running the same 4 sizes on all 4 corners? Because if you can rotate those.
Right.
Or you're running a different set in the rear. Or
we'll get into that, because you still may not be able to, even if they are.
Directional.
Right, and this tire happens to be a directional tire, and that's another marking that we'll see on the side. But so we're pretty good with the with the size of the tire. And there's some additional numbers. Sometimes you'll see like a 245, 45 R17 or a VR. Sometimes I'll put the speed rating in that section. Sometimes it's at the end of the tire like these. These are more modern, more standardized, I guess. The 95 is a load rating, and you'll have to look up those. Again, hit discounttire.com. They have the charts that tell you what that is, and it's the actual load rating of a single tire. And the W is ultimately your speed rating. So most of these tires, especially a racing slickish tire like this, it's going to have a high speed rating. Your car tire, most of them are going to have the 130, which I think is an H rating or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's good for 10 minutes or something. The test
at
is
that
like
speed?
10 minutes at that speed before you have a catastrophic failure and
Right.
have shrapnel all over the highway.
But either way, any modern tire these days is probably safe at whatever speeds you're going at.
Yeah, you know, as a good guide, like I said, check the sites, check what's on the car, check your tire pressure in the manual or the door. How's that?
Oh, the door, yeah.
Because we glossed over that a bit in the last episode, and a lot of people wrote in and said, "Hey, it's on the door." And I go, "Hey, not on my piece of shit car."
Right.
So, you know, that's a good place to start. But talk to your tire guys. They can help you make sure you get to the right sizing, and sometimes you want to go bigger, wider. They'll help you get that and keep your speedometer at the right gear.
Well, that's the other thing too. You want to step up with some crazy rims and the big tires. You're going to change things like your speedometer, stopping distance. Nothing worse than the huge rims and the small rotors in the middle of them. Let's not make that mistake, people.
It's all style, baby.
Right. All right. So
what else
next?
we have? Now, a couple other things that we have in here, and this is an interesting tire because this is a DOT racing slick, which means it's street legal but not recommended for street use. So you know that we'll be using it on the street.
So it's got a DOT
rating, which means it's approved for United States, and other countries have their approvals, Europe, Canada, etc. There's a set of other indicators up on the tire that tell things like tread wear, traction, and temperature. And these are kind of subjective things that are kind of, you know, they try and make it even, but it's fairly subjective. But if you have a tread wear of 30 like this tire, it's probably good for a couple of thousand miles on the road. If you have a tread wear of 100, it's probably, you know, 30,000. So being a racing tire, this is going to have a low tread wear.
Soft compound.
Soft compound, and it's really one of those weird things, trying to find out some information about how they came up with that number. It's driving around a road in Texas with 5 guys in the same car to see how much the tire wears, or some bizarre thing like that.
Yeah.
So it's fairly subjective, but it gives you a good indication. If you're seeing a tire tread wear under 100, you know it's going to be a fast-wearing tire. This is a traction rating, and the traction rating indicates wet traction in a straight line. So this sticky, slick-like tire, while damn sticky on the track and on the road, the tread, there's 2 circumnavigatable grooves. Circumference.
That's all you got. That's all you got to move a little water.
So you got some water on the road. These are bad.
You're going Dukes of Hazzard. You hit a puddle in this baby.
And traction rating, again, C is bad. A is good, and again, wet traction. So generally, the racing tires won't have a high traction rating if they're slick-like. As they get more treaded, they'll get up to the C. Next one, temperature. Again, this is actually fairly important because, especially with high-speed tires, and today's guys driving Beamers illegally fast on the freeway and you know, that kind of crap, this indicates how long this tire will survive at some given temperature rating, and it has to survive without exploding or killing you. So,
but with the Popo being who they are, no one's going to. We're not talking any gumball rally wannabes out here. They're not going to go that fast.
And by the way, if you're having a speed-rated tire, you can be pretty sure that the temperature grade is going to be A. I don't think I've seen anything less than a temperature A tires on my junkers. So it's probably something that people are really careful about. They don't want the tires to blow. You know, you probably get in trouble if you're towing heavy loads, low air pressure, and all that stuff. All the bad factors line up. That's when you have trouble. But I don't think I've seen a tire blow out due to heat out here.
And this course is a radial.
Right, you'll see.
They say bias ply and radio, and the radios are more modern.
Right, you'll see like tons of like stuff that's like obvious information, but you'll have radial, tubeless, because
no S Sherlock.
You know.
Yeah, and then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff that just seems like Roman script. Like you can't even figure out what some of it is.
There's a couple other important ones that are on the usually only on one side of the tire. And if you look around on the tire, on one of the sides, usually the inside if it's a symmetric, but they put on near the DOT stamp and manufacturer codes a secret code. It usually looks like it's in an oval or circles or something that's
a little hot dog.
Like a hot dog.
And remember your old gym shirts in PE? Had that little hot dog in the front?
Van Nuys High.
Ganz.
Oh, yeah, well, you write your name.
Write your name in the front.
Yep.
Yeah, mine would say Espinosa because I was too poor and I borrowed my locker partner one.
You got the locker that, you got whatever was left in the locker from last year.
Yeah, I did, baby. Reversible. Gold on one side, green on the other.
It's quality clothes. 2 days worth of wear.
Yep.
The magic, this is actually much more important than a lot of people think. And if you're buying your tires from a reputable place, it's probably...
Like Discount Tire.
Or... By the way, out here, it's called America's Tire. Same thing. So we'll allude to that later. This magic code is a 4-digit number, and the first 2 digits signify the week of manufacturer. So 27, I'm going to guess, is like July, early July. 06 means this tire was manufactured.
So it'd be 27 weeks
into
a
06.
52-week year.
Into a 52-week year.
So you're right at the middle
right
there. Okay.
So, and the second 2 digits are the year of manufacture. So the idea of this is...
Halfway into 08, or 06, sorry. Halfway into 06, this tire was manufactured.
Right, and this is important because recently a lot of hubbub has been brought up about the age of tires. How long should a tire be left in service? Even if it's brand new, do you want to put a 22-year-old tire on your car? And I can tell you firsthand that we tried mounting some 25-year-old Goodyear Blue Streaks on one of Donnie's tire rims, and Sidewall shredded when we put it on. So not the best idea.
Good. Now go ahead.
Okay.
Made me laugh.
a little bit of
you buy them on eBay?
Yeah. So you got to watch out for it. I think I want to say that the current trend is, 5 to 6 years. I think I've seen. I think that's when, at 6 years, you don't want to use a tire. You don't want to have tires in your car that are 6 years old, especially if you're sitting in the sun in Arizona without a garage. Now, if they're sitting in your garage wrapped up, not air pressured, you may be a little bit more on the safer side, but still, just be cautious of that stuff. But that's an indicator that tells you exactly when this tire was made. Now, if you see one of these with a 3-digit, like 27.6, that would indicate that your tire was made in 1990s, and it's probably way old, so be cautious of using it because it's over that time period. And it's the same kind of scheme. It'd be 27 for the 52-week out of the years made, and then the single digit is the 90s.
But so pretty soon we're going to see, we're not going to see a 1 there for, 2011.
Yeah, it would say this was manufactured in the 27th week of 11, it'd be 2711.
Right.
I think that's what the genius is.
So at this point, you can see a 0 there. You sure as hell don't want to see a 9 or an 8 there, but you're going to start seeing a 1 there pretty soon.
Right. You'll never see this as a 90s manufactured tire because the scheme for doing it in the 90s was 3 digits. So if you have a 3-digit date code,
it'll be in the 90s.
And that also means, heads up, this may be too old to be using. So check your tires. Usually it's on the inside, and you just want to be cautious. Like I said, most reputable tire places are on top of that stuff. It's a liability. They want to be safe. You want to be safe.
They don't want a lawsuit. All right, let's bring this home.
Let me do the last one, though. We got one more thing.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Symmetric versus asymmetric. Symmetric tires, mount them any way you want. Asymmetric tires like these, they have an obviously odd tread pattern. They can only go a certain way on the car, and they will almost always have an indication. If you can read, it shouldn't be a problem. It'll say side facing inward, side facing outward. So if you're trying to think about doing tire rotations and you have front to backs that are different, you're out of luck. Tire rotation isn't going to happen for you. But again, it's all stamped on the sidewall, which is your Bible.
That's right. Even you atheists out there, this is your New and Old Testament right here. This little patch of rubber known as your information center. It's your best friend, it's your lover, it's your therapist.
I'm weeping now.
Good out.